Right, we have some breaking news just into CNN. A federal judge has ordered former Trump chief of staff Mark Meadows and a number of other former top aides to testify in the special counsel's January 6th investigation. The judge rejected Trump's claims of executive privilege. Let's get right to CNN's Evan Perez. Evan, tell us what this means, because this may open the door to so much more information in this case.
It really does, Brianna. The Justice Department has been winning these cases where they're asking a judge to compel some of these former Trump aides to answer questions as part of this investigation into the attempts by the former president to overturn the 2020 election results. And they keep winning these because the judges are finding that because of the importance of this investigation.
Imagine a general surrounded on every front who walks out of his own war council because he doesn't like the maps. Imagine a CEO facing a board vote on his removal who stands up mid-meeting, pushes back his chair, and leaves the building. Imagine a defendant midway through his own trial who decides the courtroom is inconvenient and simply walks out the door. That is not a scene from a political thriller. That is not a hypothetical stress test for a constitutional law class. That is exactly what just happened inside the United States Senate. And the fallout is not just a news cycle, it is a constitutional reckoning that will define the architecture of American democracy for a generation. Donald Trump walked out, not metaphorically, not symbolically. He physically removed himself from a key Senate meeting where congressional leadership was confronting him directly about the future of his presidency, about impeachment, about the 25th Amendment, about whether the man sitting in the Oval Office still has the legal and moral authority to be there. And rather than sit across from that pressure, rather than defend himself, argue his case, or demonstrate any semblance of presidential composure, Trump stood up and left. That single act, that walkout, is not just a dramatic moment. It is a confession, and the entire country just watched him make it. To understand the full weight of what just happened, you have to understand what was actually on the table in that room. This was not a disagreement about tax policy. This was not a partisan squabble over a budget line. Senate leadership was sitting across from the President of the United States, telling him to his face that he needed to resign or face removal. They were discussing impeachment and the invocation of the 25th Amendment simultaneously. Both mechanisms, both loaded, both pointed directly at the man in the room. This is the kind of meeting that happens once in a generation, if that. The Senate does not convene to discuss a president's removal unless the situation has already moved well past the point of ordinary political friction. By the time that conversation happens in that room, the foundation has already begun to crack.
And in some cases played a key role trying to pressure people to try to help support the former president's false claims of vote fraud. You see there a list of some of the other aides: John Radcliffe, Robert O'Brien, Stephen Miller, Dan Scavino. All of these folks had, in some cases, gone in and refused to answer certain questions because the former president was making this claim of executive privilege. The judge, in this case, Beryl Howell, who was the former chief judge in the Washington, D.C. federal court, she has ruled that they must comply with the Justice Department's request to answer these questions.
And the foundation cracking has a specific name: House Resolution 415. The House of Representatives has formally impeached Donald Trump for high crimes and misdemeanors. The specific charge is not vague. It is not procedural. The resolution accuses Trump of condoning untruthful statements made by officials who were actively defying Supreme Court orders on deportations.
You're sending
Read
it
that
out to the
sentence one more
Pacific. Someday
time
somebody's
and let it
going to
register.
explain that one.
Trump is
In the
not
meantime, they
accused
have
of
no water
making a
in
bad
Los
policy
Angeles where they had the
decision.
problems.
He is not accused of poor judgment or administrative incompetence. He is accused of encouraging his own officials to violate direct orders from the highest court in the land, and then covering for them when they did. That is not a political disagreement. That is obstruction. That is defiance of the Constitution. That is, by any serious legal standard, an assault on the rule of law itself. The stakes here are not just about one man's career. When a president encourages his administration to defy Supreme Court orders, he is not just breaking a law. He is breaking the mechanism by which laws are enforced. He is pulling the pin on the entire system of checks and balances. The Supreme Court is not just the final word on legal disputes, it is the institution that makes the Constitution enforceable. If the executive branch can simply ignore the court's orders with the president's blessing, then the court has no power. And if the court has no power, then the Constitution is a document rather than a governing force. That is the cliff edge this moment is standing on. That is what Congress is fighting to pull the country back from. Democrats are pushing two tracks simultaneously: impeachment through the House, which has already passed, and the 25th Amendment through the Senate, which faces a steeper climb. Senator Jack Reed has called Trump's conduct an expensive and dangerous dereliction of leadership language that is not heated rhetoric from a partisan debate, but a clinical verdict from a senior member of the chamber that will ultimately decide this president's fate. The 25th Amendment route requires the vice president's cooperation, and that cooperation is almost certainly not coming. Trump's vice president is not going to turn on him. That path is effectively closed, which means impeachment is the real battlefield. And on that battlefield, the math is brutal for Democrats. They need 2/3 of the Senate to convict, and Republicans control the chamber. Trump almost certainly survives the vote. But surviving the vote is not the same thing as surviving the presidency. And that distinction is where this story gets complicated in ways that most people are not fully tracking. Now, here is the moment everything collapsed. The meeting, the walkout, the door closing behind him, the smart move, the move that any experienced political strategist, any competent legal advisor, any president who genuinely believed in their own defense would have made was to stay in that room. Sit down, make the case, push back. Look the senators in the eye and argue. Presidents face hostile Congresses. Presidents survive impeachment hearings. Presidents take incoming fire from the legislative branch and they absorb it and they fight. That is the move. That is what a president who has a defense does. What actually happened was the opposite. Trump left. He did not have a rebuttal ready. He did not have an argument that could survive the room. He stood up, walked out, and handed every Democrat, every undecided observer, and every future historian a piece of evidence that no opposition research team could have manufactured. This is like a quarterback, down by 4 with 2 minutes left, walking off the field in the middle of the drive because he doesn't like the play calls from the sideline and then wondering why the stadium thinks he lost the game. The walkout did not protect Trump from the pressure of that meeting. It confirmed the pressure was real, it was overwhelming, and he had nothing left to counter it with. That door closing was not an exit, it was an admission. The immediate consequences began before Trump's motorcade had cleared the building. Within hours, the walkout was the story, not the impeachment articles, not the constitutional arguments, not the Democratic case or the Republican defense, the walkout. Every network, every reporter, every analyst was asking the same question: why does a man walk out of the room where his presidency is being debated unless he has already concluded he cannot win the argument? That question is devastatingly hard to answer in a way that makes Trump look strong, and the silence from his team in response to it was its own kind of answer. The credibility damage runs in 2 directions at once. First, it validates the Democratic argument that Trump is psychologically unfit for the demands of the presidency.
And I got to know the Venezuelan people very well because of that. I've known them for a long time.
That Trump's behavior reflects fundamental unfitness. And then Trump, in one unscripted moment, demonstrated exactly the kind of erratic, pressure-averse, consequence-immune behavior that the 25th Amendment was designed to address. He handed his opponents a live demonstration of their central argument. Second, the walkout damages Trump with the one audience that still has the power to save him: Republican senators. Those senators are being asked to vote for acquittal. They are being asked to go on record saying that this president's conduct does not rise to the level of removal. That is a vote that requires political cover. It requires the president to appear manageable, defensible, and at least nominally in control. A president who storms out of Senate meetings does not make that vote easier. He makes it more uncomfortable, and uncomfortable Republican senators are the most dangerous variable in this entire equation. The political damage extends beyond the impeachment itself. Trump's ability to govern, to push legislation, to build coalitions, to negotiate depends entirely on his relationship with Congress. That relationship is now operating at the level of open constitutional warfare. A president who walks out of meetings with Senate leadership does not negotiate budgets with them the following week. A president who is being discussed in the same sentence as the 25th Amendment does not command the kind of institutional authority that moves votes and advances agendas. The governing capacity of this presidency did not just take a hit, it took a structural blow. And then there is the charge itself, the impeachment articles, the allegation that Trump condoned his officials defying Supreme Court orders on deportation policy. Chief Justice John Roberts has already warned that impeachment should not be weaponized for judicial disagreements, a signal that the Supreme Court is watching this situation with institutional concern. But Democrats are not arguing judicial disagreement. They are arguing something far more serious. They are arguing that the President of the United States told his administration that Supreme Court orders were optional, that compliance with the law was conditional, that the third branch of the federal government, the branch that was established precisely to be immune from executive pressure, could be outmaneuvered and ignored if the political calculation favored it. If that argument sticks, and the impeachment articles suggest Congress believes it does, then this is not a fight about immigration policy. This is a fight about whether the presidency operates inside or outside the law. So why did this happen? Why did a political figure who has survived 2 previous impeachments, who has demonstrated genuine instincts for political combat, who has shown the ability to absorb enormous amounts of institutional pressure, why did he fold in that room? The answer lives in a distinction that Trump has never fully grasped: the difference between political attacks and legal exposure. Trump has a well-documented playbook for surviving political attacks. You fight, you deny, you counterattack, you flood the zone, you outlast the news cycle. That playbook works when the threat is political because political threats respond to political pressure. But legal exposure is different. Legal exposure does not care about your approval ratings. It does not negotiate with Truth Social posts. It does not respond to base enthusiasm or media manipulation. Legal exposure requires a defense, a factual, documented, legally coherent defense. And what the walkout tells us is that Trump either does not have that defense or he no longer believes in it enough to deliver it under pressure. A man who is confident in his innocence argues. A man who knows the room can see through his defense walks out. Trump walked out. There is also something deeper operating here. Trump has spent his entire political career in an environment where loyalty was the primary currency and opposition was always ultimately defeatable. Advisors who turned on him were discredited. Courts that ruled against him were attacked. Media outlets that criticized him were threatened. In Trump's political universe, resistance is always temporary because pressure and loyalty eventually bend the resistors.
In the meantime, they have no water in Los Angeles where they had the problems.
But the Senate meeting was something different. The senators in that room were not resistors he could threaten into silence. They were the institution itself, the constitutional mechanism, the body that the founders specifically designed to be resistant to executive pressure. And when Trump encountered an opposition that his usual tools could not move, he had no contingency, he had no second play, so he left. The broader implications of this moment reach into every corner of American institutional life. What we are watching is the stress testing of the constitutional order in real time, under maximum load. The founders designed a system of separated powers specifically to handle this kind of conflict to ensure that no single branch could accumulate unchecked authority. They wrote the impeachment clause into Article 2 because they understood that a president might one day test the limits of what the office could tolerate. They gave Congress the 25th Amendment because they understood that fitness for office was not a permanent condition. These mechanisms exist because the founders anticipated this exact scenario, a president who treats the law as a negotiating position rather than a boundary. What we are watching now is not a breakdown of the system. It is the system activating. It is the constitutional immune response doing exactly what it was designed to do. But the system only works if the institutions hold. And right now, the critical institution is the Republican Senate caucus. Those senators are being asked to make a decision that will define their political legacies. They can vote to acquit and be recorded as the people who protected a president accused of encouraging officials to defy the Supreme Court. Or they can break and become the senators who ended a presidency of their own party. That is not a comfortable choice. And the walkout, the image of a president abandoning a Senate meeting rather than defending himself, does not make that choice easier for the senators who are already on the fence. Every Republican senator who watched that door close knows something the public is still processing. The man they are being asked to protect was not confident enough in his own defense to stay in the room and make it. For Trump personally, this moment has a weight that transcends the immediate legal outcome. He will almost certainly survive the Senate vote. The math is against conviction, but the record is already written. He is now a president who has been impeached more than once, who walked out of a Senate meeting where his removal was being discussed, and who was formally accused by Congress of encouraging his administration to defy the Supreme Court. That record does not disappear when the acquittal vote is counted. It goes into the history books exactly as it happened. Future scholars, future students, future politicians studying the American presidency will read that record. And what they will find is a president who, at the moment of maximum institutional pressure, chose the door over the argument. The internal political dynamics around Trump are now operating in a state of barely contained chaos. His allies are being asked to defend behavior that is increasingly difficult to defend on the merits. His opponents are energized by an impeachment that gives their entire opposition a formal, documented congressional endorsement. The courts are blocking his policies. Congress is impeaching him. His own administration's handling of deportation policy has become the specific legal kindling for the constitutional fire now burning around his presidency. And his response to all of it, the post, the walkout, the tantrum, suggests that Trump himself is operating from a place of reactive panic rather than strategic calculation. That is not a presidency in control of its circumstances. That is a presidency being controlled by them. Here is the verdict. Congress impeached Donald Trump for encouraging his officials to treat Supreme Court orders as suggestions, and then Trump responded by treating the Senate as a room he was allowed to walk out of. He lost the argument by refusing to make it. The weapon that is now destroying his governing authority was built from his own conduct, the defiance of courts, the encouragement of officials to break the law, the walkout that announced to the world that he has no defense he believes in enough to deliver under pressure. He will probably survive the Senate vote, but the presidency that emerges from this process will be a diminished thing, haunted by the record, constrained by the damage, and defined forever by the moment the door closed behind him. Power does not walk out of rooms. Desperation does.